Master descending the mountain, invincible horizontal push. Awakening to the power of the world, lying drunk on the knees of beauty. The charming and charming Master Lady said, "This is the Emperor card, which can be used to withdraw money from any bank around the world. It seems like there are still trillions of dollars in it, right? Take it and spend it." Sexy and spicy Second Master Mother. This is the Green Dragon Ring. From today on, you will be the leader of the world's first mercenary organization, the Green Dragon Gate, and can drive millions of elites to use for you. This is an electronic token. Shiniang has top-notch mansions all over the world, and I'm giving it to you. Vermilion Bird Bracelet. The top characters in the world are all members of the Vermilion Bird Palace, and they will unconditionally obey your orders. After 10 years of hard work, he descended the mountain with his sword, and the path of invincibility officially began. Chapter 1. 10 years of hard cultivation, officially descending the mountain. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Old son, life is short, so enjoy yourself in a timely manner. It's just that you're short. In terms of entertainment, you also need to have a sense of propriety. At the peak of Qingyun Mountain, Xia Fan glanced at the dozen or so stunning teachers around her and looked at the teacher with a withered and yellow face and trembling legs, his face speechless. "You kid knows nothing. I haven't been able to integrate the technique of combining yin and yang yet, so I need to delve deeper." Xia Fan hesitated for a moment and said, "I also want to learn. Why don't you let your teachers teach me?" Old Sun glared at Xia Fan and impatiently waved his hand, saying, "Get out of here, I don't have much to teach you anymore. Get out of the mountain and don't hinder me from studying academics." "Yeah, Xiao Fan, after 10 years of hard work, it's time for you to go down the mountain and experience yourself. Look, this is the Emperor card, which can be used to withdraw money from any bank in the world. It seems like there are still trillions of dollars in it, right? Take it and spend it." The charming and charming senior teacher threw a card with a black border and gold body, and then hurriedly grabbed Old Sun's arm with a seductive gaze. "Let's go, baby, I'll let you delve deeper. Here. This is the Green Dragon Ring. From today on, you will be the leader of the world's first mercenary organization, the Green Dragon Gate, and can drive millions of elites to use for you." Seeing this, the sexy and hot second teacher quickly threw a ring at Xia Fan and grabbed the other arm of Lao Sun, saying, "Let's go together. This is an electronic token. Shiniang has top-notch mansions all over the world, and I'm giving it to you. Vermilion Bird Bracelet. The top characters in the world are all members of the Vermilion Bird Palace, and they will unconditionally obey your orders." A dozen or so charming, pure, or aloof teachers around hurriedly left their belongings and followed behind Old Sun, afraid that if they went late, they would lose their own share. By the way, Old Sun suddenly thought of something and turned to look at Xia Fan. He took out an item from his pocket and threw it over, saying, "In your early years, you made a marriage contract. In Kanglan City, Longhua, you can go and see it yourself." Sleeping trough. He looked at the black lace bra thrown on Xia Fan's face, his old face embarrassed. The dozen or so stunning teachers around were also a bit embarrassed, pretending not to see them. Whoosh! Lao Sun's figure flashed, he took back his bra and patted an envelope in Xia Fan's hand, saying, "I'm not worried about your safety, but you should know that the world of mortals trains the mind." "Oh, are you bothering me? Xiao Fan, hurry down the mountain. We and your master are going to practice now." Grandmother couldn't see it anymore, so she grabbed Old Sun and hurriedly walked towards the house. More than a dozen stunning female masters, Ying Yen Yen, pulled Lao Sun into the house with a series of tugs and tugs. Quickly, a faint voice came out, and Xia Fan's face turned red as he turned around and left. After organizing the items briefly, Xia Fan wobbled down the mountain and took a taxi directly to the airport. He rummaged through the items in his backpack, including Emperor cards, Green Dragon rings, electronic tokens. And anyone he took out was something that shook the world. Upon arrival at the airport, Xia Fan boarded the passenger plane and flew directly to Longhua Kanglan City. This metropolis, which is about to leap to the top tier, is currently in a season of snowflakes. Fiancé in the corner, Xia Fan pulled out an envelope and browsed through the wedding letter. Old Sun once said that his fiancée A.E. Chu Qingxue was a child marriage arranged by the Chu and Xia families since they were young. At that time, the two were still in their infancy. Over the years, Xia Fan has also mentioned about his Xia family and asked who his parents and relatives are. But Lao Sun has always been very reserved and taboo about this. Over the past decade, Xia Fan, as the closed-door disciple of Lao Sun, has excelled in various skills such as learning martial arts, exposure to medicine, and practicing divination. In the first 2 years, Xia Fan was sent to the Philippines for training. Afterwards, the entire Philippine God of War list underwent a major purge, and within 2 years, the characters on the side changed one after another, with only the first-ranked name remaining unchanged. The names that disappear from the list are all beheaded by this person. This person, codenamed Death God. Fiancé A.E. I don't know what she looks like either. The plane entered Kanglan International Airport and slowly came to a standstill. Looking at the snowflakes flying outside the window, Xia Fan put away the envelope and an inexplicable expectation rose in his heart. After getting off the plane, Xia Fan walked in the airport lobby, feeling comfortable. Susu. A group of bodyguards in suits suddenly walked forward and gathered a beautiful woman dressed in blue sports pants with slender jade legs in the center. With 3,000 green silk shawls and a fair oval face, she had exquisite and impeccable beautiful features, like a fairy. Schwa. In a faint moment, Xia Fan suddenly sensed a faint murderous aura spreading, and this murderous aura became increasingly intense. He calmly looked around. In the crowded crowd, 7 or 8 middle-aged people dressed in ordinary clothes were rushing towards the group of bodyguards, while slowly reaching their hands towards their waist. Schwa. Xia Fan couldn't bear to think too much, but suddenly withdrew and moved forward. His whole body seemed like lightning, easily passing by a group of bodyguards and coming to the woman. You. Chu Qingxue suddenly widened her beautiful eyes and looked at Xia Fan with astonishment. At the next moment, the assassins surrounding them had already pulled out their pistols and said, "Bang bang bang bang." The dull sound of gunfire echoed incessantly, and several bodyguards in front were caught off guard. Suddenly, blood mist burst out from their bodies, falling like grass. Ah! Several bodyguards fell in front of Chu Qingxue, spraying blood, causing her to scream uncontrollably. The assassins were very agile in their actions, and upon seeing the situation, they immediately stepped forward and raised their hands to shoot at Chu Qingxue and Xia Fan beside them, saying, "Bang bang bang bang." Schwa. Xia Fan's eyes turned cold as he grabbed Chu Qingxue's waist and dodged to the side, easily avoiding the attack. But the remaining bodyguards didn't have such good luck and were directly killed by the assassins. The passengers in the entire hall were extremely panicked and in chaos. Behind the wall, easily killing all the bodyguards, a group of assassins began to slowly approach the corner of the wall. The leading assassin had a fierce gaze and waved his hand. The 3 assassins received a signal and immediately walked towards the back of the wall in a surrounded manner, with their guns aimed and ready to shoot at all times. Behind the corner of the wall, Xia Fan's expression was indifferent. Chu Qingxue tightly hugged his arm, her beautiful face devoid of blood, and her legs became weak and unable to move in fear. Sensing that Xia Fan was about to leave, Chu Qingxue quickly looked up at Xia Fan's calm and cold profile and said, Don't go out, it's dangerous." Bang bang bang. At this moment, the 3 assassins suddenly pounced, their guns roaring. "Don't." Chu Qingxue closed her eyes in despair. In that moment, Xia Fan's figure disappeared into place. Puzzy. Immediately after, in the astonished gaze of the other assassins, the 3 assassins who rushed into the corner stiffened, and a blood mark appeared on their necks, which immediately splashed out with blood. Puff. 3 corpses fell weakly to the ground. At all costs, we must kill the Miss Chu of the Chu family. The leader of the assassin was shocked and yelled, rushing frantically towards the corner with only 4 remaining assassins. Shwa shwa shwa. But soon after, the assassins felt a flash of shadows in front of them, and suddenly lost their strength. In the eyes of everyone, the 5 criminals almost stood on the spot at the same time, then shot blood from their necks, still a fatal blow. Just in an instant, 8 fierce assassins were lying dead on the spot, and even everyone didn't see how Xia Fan acted. This. The gentle breeze brushed past, and Chu Qingshue's delicate body trembled. With a hint of confusion, she opened her eyes and saw the bodies of assassins scattered all over the ground, while the young man who had just been indifferent and arrogant was nowhere to be seen. Clear snow. Clear snow. The middle-aged man who arrived late with numerous Chu family bodyguards immediately controlled the situation and asked anxiously. "Father, I'm fine." Chu Qingxue woke up from a dream and quickly threw herself into the embrace of her father Chu Zhinshan. She was so frightened that her delicate body was still trembling slightly. She seemed to remember something and quickly looked towards the chaotic hall, but couldn't find the figure of the young man at all. Looking at the corpses scattered all over the ground, Chu Zhinshan burst into a cold sweat and quickly looked at the many subordinates. "Hurry up, at all costs, we must find my daughter's savior." Chapter 2. I'm coming to find my fiancé AE. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Kanglan City, outside the 5-star hotels under the Li Group, is already crowded with luxury cars. As a renowned first-class family in Kanglan City, the Li family's Li Group spans a wide range of industries including real estate, catering, and hotels, making it a well-deserved large financial conglomerate. The hotel lobby is bustling with celebrities, gentry, and wine lovers, toasting and toasting, creating a scene of prosperity. However, at a dining table in the corner, a young man was feasting on it, his mouth full of oil, which attracted a white eye all around him. Where did the poor boy sneak in? Haven't he eaten before? What a shame. Oh, understand and comprehend. What good things have these ants living at the bottom of society eaten in their lifetime? TSK, isn't that quite interesting? We don't have much contact with such poor people, let's have fun. Haha. The self-proclaimed nobles around whispered to each other, and their gaze towards Xia Fan was like that of a monkey, contemptuous and contemptuous. Pop it. The hotel manager quickly walked over with a few security guards, frowning and looking at Xia Fan, who was dressed in plain clothes. His face looked a bit ugly and he said, "Sir, do you have an invitation letter? Not everyone can come in here." Manager Zhao Shan has some doubts. The annual meeting of the Li Group has already been greeted at the entrance, and it is impossible to come in without an invitation letter. He has also checked and found out that this person is not on the invitation list. How did he get in? I'm here to find my fiancé AE. Xia Fan looked up and said vaguely, wiping his mouth. It's your Miss Li Zixin from the Li family, let her come out to see me. Schwa. Ha ha ha. I'm laughing to death, isn't this kid still awake? As a first-class family in Kanglan City, the Li family and Miss Li Zixin are also famous beauties. Pursuers have to step outside the city. What kind of virtue is this kid not taking care of himself when urinating? The crowd of celebrities burst into laughter, their gaze towards Xia Fan filled with playfulness and ridicule. These days, there are really all kinds of strange things. Today is the annual meeting of the Li Group, and I don't want to worry about anything. Manager Zhao Shan's face darkened as he impatiently waved his hand and said, "Please invite this unwelcome guest out." A few sturdy security guards behind them immediately stepped forward and reached out to grab Xia Fan. "What do you do?" Xia Fan raised his eyebrows slightly, dodged on his side, and easily avoided the capture of several security guards. His gaze towards Zhao Shan was somewhat puzzled. Is that how you treat the Li family's son? Lol. I don't know the vastness of heaven and earth. Zhao Shan was smirked and said, toast, don't eat, fine. The Li family's place is also a place where you, a lowly person, can act recklessly. Break your leg, throw it out. Shwa shwa shwa. Suddenly, several security guards drew out their batons and charged towards Xia Fan with a fierce expression on their faces. Bang bang bang. But in the next moment, everyone only felt a flash of figure in front of them. The security guards who had just been imposing were now lying on the ground screaming in agony. So impolite. Xia Fan clapped his hands and pursed his lips. It's not excessive for me to teach you a lesson for my unmarried fiancé A.E. Zhao Shan's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. He didn't expect this poor young man to have two brushes. Wow. Zhao Shan took off his suit, revealing his strong muscles with knots, and gave a fierce smile. Dare to cause trouble at the Li family, you kid. You have a big problem. You can't even leave now if you want to. Quickly, more than a dozen security guards gathered around the hotel again, surrounding Xia Fan in the middle with an unpleasant expression. The surrounding gentry also showed pity on their faces. These ants dare to fight fiercely on the territory of the Li family. Isn't this asking for trouble on their own? I reckon this lowly person won't be able to see the sun tomorrow. You really don't understand etiquette. Xia Fan didn't pay much attention and casually picked up a glass of red wine from the table, looking at Zhao Shan with a smile on his face. What if Li Zixin is really my fiancé A.E.? The calm and confident gaze made Zhao Shan inexplicably uneasy. But on second thought, I can also be considered an old man in the Li family, but I have never heard of Miss having such a number one fiancé A. Susu. Suddenly, there was a commotion coming from behind, and then, surrounded by a group of celebrities, a pair of handsome men and beautiful women slowly walked towards them. What's wrong? A cool and pleasant voice sounded, and Xia Fan couldn't help but follow the sound. A black dress accentuates her curvaceous figure, revealing fair and tender shoulders with clearly visible collarbones. Coupled with delicate facial features, she is a perfect beauty. The young lady next to her was dressed in luxurious brocade, with a handsome appearance but exuding a hint of feminine charm. Mississippi. There's a troublemaker here, I'll clean it up now. Zhao Shan turned around and his face immediately became respectful. He slightly bowed and whispered, this person still says. Are you Li Zixin? Before Zhao Shan could finish speaking, Xia Fan calmly approached the two of them and looked at Li Zixin, saying, not bad, not bad. My fiancé A.E. is indeed quite beautiful. Hello, I am your fiancé A.E. Xia Fan. These security guards are not sensible, I will discipline them for you. Shwa. Where did you come from, poor boy? If you dare to talk nonsense again, believe it or not, I'll tear your mouth open. Upon hearing this, the gentle young man beside Li Zixin immediately looked displeased and coldly stared at Xia Fan. Sir, I don't know you at all, and I don't have any real fiancé A. You can leave now. Li Zixin furrowed her eyebrows slightly, with a hint of coldness in her beautiful eyes. Also, my Li family still has some say in Kanglan City. If you dare to talk nonsense again, be careful not to cause trouble. Shwa. Xia Fan didn't waste any time either. He took out the engagement letter from his arms and revealed it. Here, we have arranged a baby marriage. Don't believe it. Also, when will we go get the certificate? I'm quite satisfied with you. When Li Zixin's gaze fell on the signature on the engagement, her delicate body trembled slightly. That's Grandpa's handwriting and fingerprints. Do you really have a fiancé A.E.? When everyone saw that something was wrong with Li Zixin, they all realized something, and their eyes changed from initial contempt and ridicule to shock and shock. Isn't it true that Miss Li has a rural fiancé A.E.? Kid, why don't you take a look at yourself? The gentle young man on the side couldn't sit still. He stepped forward to block Li Zixin and looked at Xia Fan arrogantly. Baby, what era is it? This is just a joke. Get out of here now, before I get angry. Ziyue, please wait. At this moment, Li Zixin shook her head, glanced at Xia Fan, and said calmly, let's not tell the truth for now. Do you think you deserve me? Upon hearing these words, Cheng Ziyue let go and looked at Xia Fan with a playful gaze. Any piece of jewelry I have is probably your savings for several years. Even if you have a marriage contract, don't you feel ashamed of yourself? Okay, I'll give you 1 million. Take it and marry a wife, live a good life, and I won't care about what you did just now. How about that? Li Zixin stared at Xia Fan and casually took out the check, feeling extremely calm. We are not people from the same world, do you understand? My goal is to become a giant in Kanglan City. A figure like Chu Qingxue, the president of the Chu group. My man must at least be the existence of a feudal lord. This inconspicuous and impoverished young man doesn't even have the qualification to be treated seriously. Chapter 3. Is this the way the Li family treats guests? You are listening at novelfull.audio. A million. Feeling ashamed of oneself. It's not a world. Hotel lobby. Xia Fan was slightly taken aback by Li Zixin's words, and at the same time, her fondness for this fiancé AE was completely extinguished. From his memory onwards, he had no concept of money because golden objects were of no value to him. Even the most fascinating power in this world is nothing more than a pile of dog poop in Xia Fan's eyes. There was once a global billionaire ranking first who knelt at the foot of Qinyan Mountain for 3 days and 3 nights, just hoping to save his life. Xia Fan never expected that he would be sent away with money today. Why, haven't you heard of 1 million since childhood? Cheng Ziyue sneered and took out his own check, swishing down a string of numbers. I'll reward you 1 million too. Quickly disappear from Zixin's sight. This is not where you, a low-level ant, should come from. The guests couldn't help but lift their heads and looked at Xia Fan with contempt in their eyes. Since there is such a slight connection, I won't drive you away. After all, this kind of banquet may only be attended once in your life. Find a place to eat something by yourself. Li Zixin glanced at Xia Fan's stunned expression and sighed in her heart, feeling embarrassed. Grandpa, how could he be so confused back then? How could such a person have had a baby kiss with him? She felt that Xia Fan's presence made her somewhat filthy. Waving her hand, Li Zixin turned around and prepared to go upstairs. Put away your engagement, that thing is only useful for people with matching identities. By the way, don't cause trouble. Everyone present is someone you can't afford to provoke. Did you hear that? Our communication with you is beneath our identity. Cheng Ziyue, feeling full of superiority, casually threw the check on the ground and turned to follow behind Li Zixin. We are indeed not people from the same world, Xia Fan suddenly spoke up, with a faint smile on his face. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been able to attend a banquet at this level. The level of this banquet really doesn't match my identity. He looked at Li Zixin, who had stopped and turned around, with a calm expression and said, but since it's an agreement between the two families, we can't just cancel it casually. I also have some questions that I want to ask Mr. Li to come out and see me. The engagement between myself and Li Zixin was made by 2 elderly families, which means that the Li family old man may know his background. Therefore, this trip was not entirely for Li Zixin. You're not finished, are you, kid? Cheng Ziyue's face turned cold as he stared at Xia Fan and said, how noble is Mr. Li's status? Is it something you want to see? You're like a licking dog. Xia Fan glanced at Cheng Ziyue and said, if a person is talking, does it have the element of a dog barking? I was in a good mood, but my marriage was ruined. The dog was still chattering incessantly, which made Xia Fan a little unhappy. Wow! There was a commotion all around. You should know that Qing Ziyue is the legitimate son of the Qing family, one of the three major aristocratic families in Kanglan City. The Qing family is even more powerful than the Li family. How dare this poor boy mock the legitimate son of the Qing family as a licking dog and not want to live anymore? You. Qing Ziyue's face changed and he was about to rush forward. I'll let you know today that some people are so powerful that you can't imagine. Several Qing family bodyguards around also heard the sound and moved toward Xia Fan, surrounding them. Li Zixin saw the situation and did not speak out to stop it, but looked at it indifferently. This guy is indeed a bit ignorant of heaven and earth. It would be better for him to give a long lesson and avoid entanglement with himself. She also understands Xia Fan. With the opportunity to cross social classes, she is still a well-known beauty from afar. How could the other party be willing to leave? Bang dang. Xia Fan moved, he was as fast as lightning, but any bodyguard from the Qing family who was within 5 meters of him trembled and fell to the ground unconscious without saying a word, unable to even scream in time. Susu. Appearing again, Xia Fan had already grabbed Qing Ziyue's neck with one hand and looked at him with a smile on his face. Where did you get that sense of superiority? I want to know, if you die, can you still jump in the queue after reincarnation in the underworld? Ah. At this moment, Qing Ziyue's face turned red, feeling as if he was tightly confined by iron pliers, breathing poorly, and life and death being controlled by the other party. Shua. This time, everyone was shocked. The bodyguards of the Qing family are all exceptionally skilled, and they can't even stop this poor kid. The hotel manager Zhao Shan also had a serious expression on his face, as he noticed that he seemed to be somewhat contemptuous of this young man. Xia Fan, are you crazy? Li Zixin felt a little flustered and approached without hesitation, looking coldly at Xia Fan. It's impossible for us. If you want to showcase yourself in this way, I advise you not to do it. Xia Fan. Xia Fan was speechless, and he had completely lost his thoughts on Li Zixin. He gave her a faint glance and said, "You think too much." Bang. Xia Fan let go, and Qing Ziyue immediately sat on the ground, panting heavily with a pale face. He felt like he was really dying just now. Wow. At this moment, another commotion came from behind, and a dignified middle-aged couple walked quickly towards them with a puzzled expression. But when the middle-aged couple looked at Xia Fan and Qing Ziyue, their faces suddenly changed. Bastard! What kind of person are you? How dare you treat young Master Qing like this? Are you tired of living? Middle-agedly DeLong stared at Xia Fan. The woman Zhao Shuqin let out a scream and quickly ran to Qing Ziyue's side, helping him up. She shuddered and asked, "Young Master Qing, are you okay? What's going on? Why are there people who don't have eyes and dare to provoke you?" Zhao Shuqin turned her head and looked at Xia Fan with a look full of hatred and disgust. Where did the poor loser come from? Zhao Shan, what are you doing in a daze? If you dare to hit Zixin's boyfriend, give him up to me. This middle-aged couple is Li Zixin's parents and also the head of the Li family. Xia Fan, you're really not satisfied. Li Zixin frowned and retreated with disgust. Don't you know what kind of existence you've beaten? It seems that poor people also have something to hate. I don't need to help you anymore. Shua shua shua. More than 10 security guards gathered around him, and Zhao Shan's face was also serious. He even took out a dagger from his arms and looked at Xia Fan with a fierce gaze. Is this the way the Li family treats guests? At this moment, Xia Fan had completely lost patience with the Li family. His expression was cold and he stood with his hands down. Since that's the case, I don't have much to say. Let Mr. Li come out, I'll ask a few questions and leave. Otherwise, no wonder I'm not being polite. Ha ha ha. Upon hearing this, Li Delong couldn't help but sneer and wave his hand, saying, I don't care who you are. If you dare to cause trouble in the Li family, you must pay the price. Li Zixin stood on the side, looking at Xia Fan's stubborn expression, even more disappointed, and whispered softly. I've said it, we are people from two different worlds. What do you want to show me? It's just a matter of self-humiliation. Chapter 4. He is a master. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Scream. Scream. As soon as Li Delong finished speaking, more than a dozen Li family security guards holding sharp blades next to him immediately took action. In an instant, several cold and piercing sword lights shot towards Xia Fan's direction. These people are all practitioners. The Li family. It's quite impressive. Xia Fan spoke slowly, facing the siege of the crowd, his eyes gradually becoming cold. He really doesn't like the Li family, who have a dog's eye for people. I don't know what my family is thinking, how could they sign a marriage contract with such a thing? Cheng Ziyue, standing beside him, looked at Xia Fan, who was standing still. He thought he was scared out of his wits, but then he sarcastically said, the earth dog is the earth dog. He was scared to wet his pants before he even started. You shouldn't have provoked my Li family, let alone young Master Cheng. Today's incident is a warning to the world. Not everyone can come to my Li Jiayao to show their power. Li Delong's face was icy cold, and his gaze at Xia Fan was as if he were looking at a corpse. Standing aside, Li Zixin pursed her lips and couldn't bear to turn her head away. She gave Xia Fan a chance, but he didn't cherish it. No wonder anyone happened today. To blame, he can only blame himself for seeking death. Pang. With a heavy muffled sound suddenly coming from the empty hall, a figure covered in blood flew out. It's over. The eyes of the crowd were full of contempt, and they had become accustomed to this eye-catching beggar. Especially Cheng Ziyue, seeing Xia Fan being solved, his gloomy face lit up with a victorious smile on his lips. A stinky beggar, still wanting to make a scene under his nose. Li Delong and his wife also sneered when they saw this. They should treat this kind of person with lightning speed, otherwise they would really bully the Li family. Zixin, when it comes to dealing with such people, one must never be soft-hearted, otherwise he will rely on you like a dog's skin ointment, and no matter how hard he is to get rid of it. At this moment, Li Delong earnestly patted Li Zixin's shoulder, and Li Zixin finally regained consciousness from her fear. She doesn't want to kill anyone, let alone see a dead person. The scene before her absolutely shook her heart. Dad, I got it. Li Zixin took a deep breath and his furrowed brow gradually relaxed. Zixin, I can't afford to be angry with this lowly ant. When the night comes, I'll make a name for myself and surprise you. At this moment, Cheng Ziyue stood up with a face full of spring breeze, bowing slightly and being extremely humble. Okay. Upon hearing these words, Li Zixin also became happy. But at this moment, a sudden change occurred. Master, save me. A hurried cry for help suddenly rang out. Everyone turned around and saw Xia Fan calmly holding the bracelet to his chest. Beside him, the dozen or so Li family security guards who had just taken action lay on the ground, covered in blood and with no breath left. What is this? What is the situation? Seeing Xia Fan standing there unscathed, everyone was bewildered. Especially Li Delong. You should know that the strength of his security guards is extremely strong, and they are all trainers who can fight against 10 opponents. And depending on the situation, his people were all killed alive by the ordinary kid in front of him. No wonder you have the courage to provoke my Li family. It turns out you have confidence. Seeing Xia Fan still alive, Li Zixin's eyes trembled slightly, and she couldn't help but feel a bad premonition in her heart. Li family, what a good Li family. Xia Fan shook his head slightly and was extremely disappointed with the Li family. Then he chuckled lightly and said, since your Li family doesn't want to fulfill this engagement, then I won't force it either. I, Xia Fan, came to withdraw from my marriage today. From now on, the Li family and I will be separated in one go, without any further involvement. Wow! As soon as these words were spoken, there was an uproar. Divorce. This stinky beggar unexpectedly withdrew from marriage in public. This not only embarrasses Li Zixin, but also brings shame to the entire Li family. Dog thing, do you know what you're talking about? Li Delong's eyes were about to crack, and his withered palms clenched into fists. This useless person dares to publicly withdraw from marriage. At this moment, Li Zixin was also shocked, but after the shock, it was anger. She felt extremely uncomfortable all over, feeling an unprecedented insult. As one of the top beautiful women in Kanglan City, she has attracted countless wealthy young masters to pursue her, but today she was unexpectedly broken off by a wild boy from somewhere. Even if you don't pee and take care of yourself, can Zixin be a useless person like you? Standing on the side, Cheng Ziyue's face was full of malice, and he looked at Xia Fan with malice, like a fierce wolf. Want to play a game of play hard to get? Don't even see where this is. At this moment, Cheng Ziyue seemed to have seen through Xia Fan, with a proud expression on his face. Indulge in the pursuit of capture. Upon hearing Cheng Ziyue's words, everyone present suddenly realized and nodded in agreement. Indeed. This move of turning retreat into progress is really amazing. At this point, Li Zixin also nodded silently. I see, no wonder this kid dares to divorce. Originally, it was just to maintain the only remaining self-esteem. I know what's on your mind, but you and I are one in heaven and one in earth, you. You don't deserve me. Li Zixin was completely angry, pointing at Xia Fan without mercy. Her condescending tone made Xia Fan furious. It's not possible to have her fulfill her engagement, nor is it possible to withdraw. Why? Is lousy just so worthless? Sick. Xia Fan coldly spat out these two words and then looked at Cheng Ziyue, who was extremely cruel to the side. And you licking dog, just say one more word, I guarantee you will die very ugly. This sentence exuded a murderous aura, and in an instant, the temperature of the entire hall plummeted. Looking at Xia Fan's extremely cold gaze, Cheng Ziyue's body couldn't help but tremble, but soon regained consciousness. Like a dog with its tail pinned down, it shouted with a flushed face, You're such a big dog, you dare to threaten Ben Shao. Today, I'll let you know how to write die. Cheng Ziyue let out a cold snort and casually tapped his fingers. From behind him, a burly middle-aged man appeared in an instant. The man had strong muscles, a hooked nose, cold eyes, and a calm demeanor. Warriors. The person who came is actually a warrior from the Qing family. Seeing this person, everyone was surprised. Among the top-tier aristocrats in Kanglan City, there are a group of warriors raised. Ordinary warriors can achieve extremely strong strength through cultivation, but one warrior can be compared to hundreds of ordinary people. And the prosperity of the wealthy family can only be sustained by this group of warriors. If it weren't for them, the industries under their command would have suffered a huge blow, leading to complete decline. This is the importance of warriors. Kill him. With Cheng Ziyue's order, the warrior charged fiercely towards Xia Fan. His energy surrounded him like an ape, leaping high and pounding at Xia Fan's head. This punch is powerful and heavy. If you don't dodge, your brain will burst on the spot. Bang! I saw Xia Fan slowly extend a hand, and the warrior's fist was tightly clamped. Then Xia Fan spread out one hand and slapped the warrior. Boom! The warrior trembled all over, his body stiffened, his pupils dilated instantly, and he immediately collapsed straight down. Zong. Master. Chapter 5. Now I got divorced. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Grandmaster. Before his death, the warrior of the Qing family uttered these two words. In an instant. The entire reception hall caused a sensation, and everyone couldn't help but take a deep breath. You should know that there are also differences between warriors. Quenching body, breaking bones, absorbing energy, master. Warriors who can reach the Grandmaster realm are rare in the entire Kangwon city, and can be counted with just one hand. Unexpectedly, the ordinary young man in front of me was actually a martial arts master. How old is he? It should be clear that being poor in literature and rich in martial arts, this kid is able to become a master at such an age. In addition to his extraordinary talent, the resources for cultivation are also massive. Is there a background behind this kid? At this point, there was also a hint of shock in Xia Fan's eyes. A warrior. What is that thing? Then he lowered his head and glanced at the body under his feet. Weak. It's too weak. This warrior is too weak compared to his previous experiences in Africa. What kind of person are you? At this moment, Qing Ziyue was completely flustered. That warrior was also one of the best in their Qing family, but he didn't expect to be seen as a useless ant by himself with a flash kill. What kind of person is he? Grandmaster. What about Grandmaster? I hit Grandmaster today. Li Delong was about to crack his eyes at this moment, and he didn't expect that the stinky beggar in front of him was actually a martial arts master. But now that Liang Zi has already tied the knot, nothing can be said to let him leave. If not, what is the face of the Li family? As soon as he finished speaking, Li Delong instantly pulled out a pistol from his waist, with the pitch-black muzzle pointing straight at Xia Fan. What's wrong with Master Wudao? I have a gun. Aren't you afraid of getting shot? Xia Fan, right. Now I want you to kneel down. Wow. At the moment when Li Delong pulled out his gun, all the guests present panicked and fled in all directions. Everyone doesn't want to be innocent and affected. Do Mr. Li understand what you are doing now? I suggest letting him come out to see me. Faced with the pitch-black muzzle, Xia Fan remained calm and calmly questioned. What? Now you know you're scared. Li Delong thought that Xia Fan was afraid before moving out Mr. Li to suppress him. I am in charge of the Li family now. Everything I do is for the Li family. I don't care what relationship you have with my father. If you provoke the Li family today, you should know your fate. Li Delong's expression became increasingly crazy, and the beautiful woman next to her, Zhao Shuqin, also felt a bit scared. She quickly pulled Li Zixin aside and hid. Uncle Li, hurry up and kill him. If he were to leave today alive, the face of the Cheng and Li families would be completely ruined. How can our Cheng and Li families still hold their heads high in Kangwon? Qing Ziyue's expression became increasingly vicious, and he now harbors a deep hatred towards Xia Fan. This dog not only killed him as a warrior, but also provoked his dignity. If he were to leave alive, how would Qing Ziyue continue to behave? I understand. Li Delong frowned tightly, his hand tightly gripping the pistol. Duh. 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 Xia Fan remained expressionless, as if she hadn't heard him, and walked step by step towards Li Delong. His movements were like a fierce beast in Li Delong's eyes. Seeing this scene, Li Delong was somewhat panicked, and his hand holding the gun trembled slightly at this moment. Is this kid losing his heart and going crazy? Not even afraid of a gun. Even if it's a martial arts master who cultivates all his internal strength, he can never stop bullets at this distance. This crazy move also made everyone present exclaim in surprise. This kid is really crazy. Li Zixin opened her mouth wide when she saw Xia Fan's reckless move, and her beautiful eyes almost overflowed with surprise. Shoot him. Kill him. Qing Ziyue was also somewhat panicked and hurriedly urged Li Delong to shoot. Under the pressure, Li Delong's forehead oozed beads of sweat as big as beans. With Xia Fan taking another 2 steps forward, Li Delong finally made up his mind. You asked for it, die for me. Bang! Li Delong suddenly pulled the trigger and a bullet roared towards Xia Fan's head. But at this moment, a scene that shocked everyone appeared. I saw Xia Fan's head slightly on one side, and the bullet that was so fast and blurry was instantly dodged. And Xia Fan strode forward, seizing the opportunity to grab Li Delong's pistol, and then his inner strength trembled slightly. The pistol seemed to have fallen apart, turning into a pile of parts and falling to the ground. Is this his mother a movie? Let's not talk about avoiding bullets, just dismantle the gun casually. Is this a person or a monster? The people present took a deep breath and looked at Xia Fan as if he were looking at a monster. You. Li Delong was completely panicked, his body trembling uncontrollably. Before he could speak, Xia Fan grabbed his neck and picked him up directly. The strong suffocation almost made him faint. Xia Fan. Do you know what you're doing? At this moment, Li Zixin couldn't sit still anymore and quickly stood up to shout loudly. I know, I'm preparing to kill. Xia Fan grinned, but in everyone's eyes, this smile was like a devil. Xia Fan. You can't kill my dad, you. Didn't you say I'm your fiancé AE? You listen to me, put my dad down. Did you misunderstand? I just said, break up. Now you, the Li family, have nothing to do with me. And what are you, who dares to command me and teach me how to do things? Xia Fan chuckled and the strength in his hand gradually increased. Li Delong's face gradually turned red due to lack of oxygen. If Xia Fan doesn't stop, he will definitely die. Stinky beggar, if you don't let go, I guarantee you won't see the sun tomorrow. At this point, Cheng Zi still dares to threaten. Xia Fan was not used to it at all and slapped him straight out. In an instant, Cheng Zi's nose blood flowed from his mouth, and his left face became red and swollen, like a pig's head. Why are there still people rushing to reincarnate? Are you afraid that the Yen Prince won't accept you? Xia Fan let out a sigh and looked at Li Delong in his hand, ready to twist his neck. He will never be soft on someone who repeatedly provokes him. Boom. Suddenly, a violent explosion interrupted his hand movements. He turned around and saw countless well-trained soldiers holding rifles rushing in outside the hall. They stood in a matrix, with countless black guns pointing at Xia Fan. Not only that. Behind them, more than a dozen middle-aged men strode in with great strides. They were full of momentum, just like the previous warrior from the Qing family, all of whom were warriors. These warriors had a cold expression, watching Xia Fan as if he were looking at a lamb waiting to be slaughtered, rubbing their hands and eager to try. Meanwhile, a middle-aged man dressed in a black robe appeared behind them. Beside the middle-aged man, a scarred-faced man dressed in military uniform walked side by side. Dad! You're finally here. Lying on the ground like a dead dog, Cheng Ziyue started shouting when he saw someone approaching, as if he had grabbed a life-saving straw. Dad! He's going to kill Uncle Li, and he's also going to kill me. We can't let him go. Absolutely not. Chapter 6. Get lost, stinky bitch. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Never let him go, absolutely not. Upon hearing this, the middle-aged man in a black robe frowned. He is the father of Cheng Ziyue and the current head of the Qing family, Cheng Tianlong. Cheng Tianlong actually came. It seems like that kid is finished. The Qing family is one of the top families in the entire Kanglan region. Even if that kid has some strength, it's definitely not worth looking at. Look next to Cheng Tianlong, isn't that Wang Tongling from the border defense area of Kanglan City? He's actually here too. Under the command of Wang Yan, he is in charge of the thousands of troops in Kanglan City, with strong strength and immense power. However, it is said that Wang Yan, the leader, is aloof and proud. Many noble families in Kanglan wanted to establish relationships with him, but in the end, they all returned without success. Unexpectedly, the Qing family came together with him. This situation surprised all the celebrities present. Even Li Zixin, known as the beauty of the iceberg, couldn't help but show a hint of shock in her beautiful eyes. Hee hee. Stinky beggar, if you let go of Uncle Li now and kneel in front of me and kowtow 100 heads, I may still be able to let you go, otherwise. Click. Before he could finish speaking, Xia Fan's right hand forcefully twisted Li Delong's neck in an instant. Immediately, he threw Li Delong's body in front of Cheng Ziyue and grinned, otherwise, what? I didn't hear clearly. Xia Fan's smile was like a grim reaper from hell, making Cheng Zi, who was already stumbling, more frightened and fall to the ground. Boom! Li Delong's death was like a thunderous explosion in the hall. All the celebrities present saw this, their pupils shrank sharply and their mouths grew big. That kid really dares to kill the head of the Li family. Does he find his life too long? Dad! Li Zixin saw her father being strangled to death by Xia Fan, and she shouted loudly before rushing forward. She shed tears and bent down to hold Li Delong's body in her arms. Feeling the already chilly body temperature, Li Zixin looked up at Xia Fan, with anger in her beautiful eyes as if it were real. Xia Fan. Why? Why did you kill my dad? You're such a big dog, you killed Uncle Li. Do you know you're digging your own grave? On the other side, Cheng Ziyue stood up unsteadily, pointing at Xia Fan's nose and angrily cursing. If I had been provoked repeatedly before, the grass on the grave would have been 3 meters high. Xia Fan met Li Zixin's hateful gaze and chuckled lightly, he's already considered lucky. Kill me. Kill him. If anyone can kill him, my Li family will reward 10 million yuan. Li Zixin was completely insane at the moment, disregarding Li Shuqin's dissuasion and offering a reward for Xia Fan's head to those present. If anyone can kill him, my Qing family will also reward 10 million yuan. Cheng Tianlong slowly spoke at this moment, his face expressionless, as if Li Delong's death had nothing to do with him. 20 million. This astronomical figure has made everyone extremely envious. So much money, it may be a number that ordinary people will never earn in their lifetime. Especially the dozen or so warriors brought by the Qing family, their gaze towards Xia Fan gradually became hot. Up! I don't know who it was, but shouted loudly in the hall, and all the Qing family warriors present rushed forward in one go. My head is only worth 20 million. Facing the approaching digital warriors, Xia Fan shook his head and smacked his lips with some dissatisfaction. You should know that there were people on the God of War list who offered billions of dollars for their own brains. Can result in boom. Xia Fan gave a cold smile and saw him clench his right fist with a powerful wave from bottom to top. This punch is as powerful as a dragon or tiger, with a terrifying aura. Suddenly, a dull voice rang out. The 3 Qing family warriors who rushed forward were directly blasted out. Click. Immediately after, there were several crisp sounds of broken bones, and the 3 of them rolled in the air several times before landing weakly on the ground. This punch directly shattered all the bones of the 3 of them. Damn it! What kind of person is this? Master. Can such a young martial arts master really exist? Xia Fan's shocking punch directly calmed down the Qing family warrior who rushed forward. Although they are strong, they can never compete with a martial arts master. If you rush up like this now, you're looking for death. What are you doing in a daze? Why don't you go up and kill him? He's just a stinky beggar. Are you all fed by the Qing family? Cheng Ziyue saw his martial artist standing still, afraid to move forward, with a twisted expression and a fierce roar. Upon hearing this, all the warriors turned their heads with dissatisfaction on their faces, looking at Cheng Ziyue with a look like they were looking at silly Bai. Blessings come together, but when difficulties arise, I run. They won't do anything to go up and die. Faced with countless murderous gazes, Cheng Ziyue finally realized that he had made a slip of the tongue and shrank his head in fear. Upon seeing this scene, Commander Cheng Tianlong and Commander Wang Yan showed a slight expression of disbelief. This seemingly ordinary kid is actually a martial arts master. Kid, I cherish my talent. If you can join my Wang army, I can protect you. Suddenly, Wang Yan beside Cheng Tianlong spoke slowly. This statement once again caused everyone to exclaim in surprise. Being able to receive Wang Yan's protection, wouldn't that kid be able to walk sideways in the entire ocean? How can a stinky beggar be the turn of such a good thing that pie falls from the sky? Uncle Wang, he is. Shut up. Cheng Tianlong's face turned cold as he sternly interrupted Cheng Ziyue's words. What is Uncle Wang doing, and it's your turn as a junior to interject. Brother Tianlong, there's nothing I can do. I really have a love for talent with such a young martial arts master. I'll take him away, okay? Wang Yan's voice was neither light nor heavy, but in everyone's hearts, it was like a huge rock, pressing down hard for breath. Brother Wang's words are beyond recognition. This kid has some strength, and it's his honor to be valued by Brother Wang. Cheng Tianlong smiled slightly and arched his hand towards Wang Yan. No way. He killed my dad, why should he leave alive? Seeing Xia Fan being appreciated by Wang Yan, Li Zixin's expression almost twisted, and her originally beautiful face gradually became gloomy. She absolutely cannot kill her father's enemy and leave alive in front of her. Didn't your Cheng family still want to cooperate with my Li family? Kill him, and my Li family will hand over all the projects to you. Li Zixin's voice trembled slightly, but in the face of such tempting conditions, Cheng Tianlong remained unmoved. Ziyue. Have a word. Li Zixin turned her gaze to Cheng Ziyue behind Cheng Tianlong, her voice filled with pleading. However, now Cheng Ziyue saw the situation clearly, and immediately cleared his throat, saying, I just fell in love with your beauty. I really thought I could take my life to play with you. Get lost, stinky bitch. Chapter 7. Commander Chu Nantian. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Get lost, stinky bitch. This sentence, like sharp swords piercing through her heart, shattered all her hopes. Do you think I value your Li family's project assets? Don't be funny, if it weren't for your handsome appearance, your Li family wouldn't even be worthy of lifting my shoes. Cheng Ziyue's expression was somewhat sinister, and he began to get excited when speaking. He just wanted to play with this Li Zixin from the beginning, but he didn't expect this bitch to take it seriously. You're shameless. Li Zixin's eyes were red and she roared at the top of her lungs. She thought Cheng Ziyue genuinely liked herself, but she didn't expect the reality to be like this. Father's death and boyfriend's betrayal, each one like a surging tide, surrounded her fiercely and suffocated her. Pop. As her inner defenses gradually crumbled, her grip on the gun couldn't help but loosen, and the black pistol fell to the ground. Li Zixin sat slumped on the ground, her hair disheveled and disheveled. This pitiful appearance, towering above the confrontation with Xia Fan just now, is like clouds and mud. Kid, as long as you sincerely submit, I guarantee that no one in Kanglan City dares to touch you. Let's just leave today's matter at that. How about that? Wang Yan's eyes narrowed slightly, and the corners of his mouth curved slightly, as if he had already won. Not to mention anything else, just talk about the prestige of Wang Yan in Kanglan City. This kid can't resist temptation. Everyone thought the same way, and their eyes towards Xia Fan were filled with envy. Surrender. With just your little command. Suddenly, Xia Fan turned slightly, his cold eyes overlooking everyone below. You don't deserve it. Xia Fan's words directly make everyone present stir-fry. Disdain. This is a blatant mockery. This hairy kid from somewhere dares to publicly humiliate Wang Tongling. Upon hearing these words, Wang Yan's eyes twitched slightly and his expression began to darken. I'm giving you a chance. I hope you can see the current situation clearly. Kaka. After speaking, the dozens of soldiers in uniform all loaded their rifles and pointed their guns directly at Xia Fan. Faced with such firepower, even the Grandmaster cannot stop it. It's been a long time since anyone dared to point a gun at me. Xia Fan faced countless pitch-black gun barrels with no fear in his eyes. However, in the eyes of others, Xia Fan's actions at this moment were just pretending to be calm. Since you don't want to submit, then bury it here. As a border commander, you must not let your life be taken lightly and leave gracefully. Wang Yan's tone changed with a murderous intent. If you can't surrender, then kill. With his command, several soldiers were preparing to pull the trigger and turn Xia Fan into a sieve. Qing Ziyue, on the other hand, hid behind Qing Tianlong and exclaimed with some joy, "Stinky beggar, let you pretend to be forced. When you die now, I will throw you to feed the dog. When you die, all I need to do is make a slight move. Shouldn't Li Zixin, this stinky bitch, come back obediently?" Just as Wang Yan was preparing to order the shooting. Boom boom boom. Outside the hall, the roar of helicopters could be heard. Someone is curious to look out. I only saw a dozen or so helicopters hovering above the Li family hall, and the incredibly strong wind caused the entire hall to fly sand and rocks, with debris flying everywhere. The hatch of the helicopter slowly opened, and countless heavy weapons such as rocket launchers and sniper rifles appeared on top, all aimed at the Li family hall. And there are countless soldiers with live guns and ammunition on standby. The Li family hall was surrounded by several tanks, and the pitch-black gun barrels made people shudder. What is the situation? Is it going to be a war? Seeing this situation, Qing Tianlong and Wang Yan's faces changed greatly, and they were somewhat shocked. In Kanglan, there are only a few people who have the ability to mobilize the firepower of these equipment, even Wang Yan cannot. Wang Yan, how dare you dare to mobilize troops without authorization, you big coward. At the same time, a middle-aged man with a fierce and imposing appearance was surrounded by dozens of soldiers holding long spears. More importantly, this person possesses an inexplicable killing aura, which only those who have truly fought on the battlefield would possess. Chu Nantian. Qing Tianlong and Wang Yan were all shocked and pale when they saw the newcomers. Chu Nantian, the eldest son of the Chu family, the largest family in Kanglan, is also the commander of tens of thousands of border defense soldiers in Kanglan. The status are much higher than that of Wang Yan, the commander. Moreover, this person not only achieved remarkable military achievements on the battlefield, but was also favored by the Chinese Vermilion Bird Palace and became a member of it. Vermilion Bird Hall. Only the elites among the elites can enter China. This organization not only has the right to act first and report later, but also has great power. It is precisely because of this that the Chu family can maintain its position as the first family and endure for a long time. The arrival of Chu Nantian made everyone unable to help but hold their breath and dare not take a breath. Commander. Why did you come? At this moment, Wang Yan still had the arrogant aura he had just shown, with a fawning expression on his face as he arched his hand towards Chu Nantian, sweating coldly. At this level of conversation, Qing Tianlong doesn't even have the qualification to go up and talk, so he can only hide on the side and dare not speak. Chu family. That's a behemoth, not something their Qing family can provoke. Wang Yan, how majestic you are. How dare you privately mobilize troops to attack the people? Are you really not afraid of death? Chu Nantian's momentum erupted, and his powerful force made Wang Yan spit out a mouthful of blood. Commander. It was this kid who killed the leader of the Li family first. I'm also. Wang Yan still wanted to speak cunningly, but Chu Nantian slapped him directly and blew him away. "Shut up, are you in charge of this matter?" The weather in Chunan was extremely strong, and this slap directly blinded Wang Yan. "What is the situation?" You should know that although Chu Nantian is his immediate superior, he usually doesn't care about such things. What went crazy today? Cheng Tianlong saw that Wang Yan had been beaten, so he had to muster up his courage and speak softly, "Commander Chu, this is not Wang's fault. It's that kid." Pop. Chu Nantian slapped Cheng Tianlong's fan again and flew it out. "What kind of thing are you?" Chu Nan let out a cold snort in the sky, as if he were a king who looked down upon the world. Everyone was frightened and frightened. "Did you kill the head of the Li family?" "For a long time." Chu Nantian turned his gaze to Xia Fan. "It's me." Xia Fan nodded. "Is Chu Nantian, the Chu commander, also looking for this kid?" "This kid is considered finished. He angered General Chu, he will definitely die. Even if this kid goes to heaven and earth, it's easy to kill him with the energy of General Chu." At this moment, everyone is discussing it one after another. Under the gaze of everyone, Chu Nantian slowly walked to Xia Fan's side. At this moment, his gaze was incredibly firm. Immediately, amidst the astonished gazes of the crowd, he gave Xia Fan a standard military salute and said in a deep voice, "Chu Nantian led the Kanglan border defense strengthening camp to protect Mr. Xia's safety. The reinforcement camp has been assembled and will be dispatched solely by Mr. Xia." Chapter 8. Regrets. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chu Nantian's posture was upright, and his voice was extremely powerful and powerful. As soon as he finished speaking, countless soldiers behind him shouted in unison, "Kanglan's reinforcement camp has been assembled and is ready for Mr. Xia's dispatch at any time. Today, if anyone dares to touch Mr. Xia, I will have him beaten into a sieve." Speaking. Thousands of soldiers loaded their rifles together, and the neat and uniform movements startled everyone. This scene shocked everyone present. These two levels of reversal almost made them not react. What the hell is going on here? Who the hell is this kid? Surprisingly, Chu Nantian could lower his body and come forward to protect him. Everyone's breathing became heavy at this moment, and the gaze towards Xia Fan no longer had the same disdain as before. All they had was fear. Especially the father and son of Cheng Ziyue and Cheng Tianlong, endless fear swept over them. They never expected that this ordinary young man in front of them had a deep relationship with the Chu family. With the energy of the Chu family, the Cheng and Li families are considered finished. "Commander. Are you mistaken? He is the murderer of the Li family leader, you." At this moment, Wang Yan was still trying to defend himself, but was immediately scared away by Chu Nantian's fierce gaze. "What? Are you questioning me? Questioning my commands?" Chu Nantian is like a awakened lion, with a gentle voice but a strong killing intent. "No. I dare not." Upon hearing this, Wang Yan quickly waved his hand to deny, sweating profusely. "Are you from the Chu family?" Finally. Xia Fan, who had been silent for a long time, finally spoke, his voice calm and without any ripples. "Mr. Xia, I am Chu Nantian, the eldest son of the Chu family. Fortunately, you rescued my sister at the airport today. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. You are now the benefactor of my Chu family. If anyone dares to touch you, they will not be able to get along with my Chu family, let alone me." Chu Nantian explained to Xia Fan in a soft voice, and then snorted coldly to everyone in the Cheng and Li families. "Oh my goodness, this kid actually saved the Miss Chu of the Chu family. Can't he just walk horizontally in Kanglan? No wonder he openly dares to challenge the Cheng and Li families. It turns out that the Chu family is his confidence. With the support of the Chu family, this kid's future achievements are definitely not low. The people present were discussing one after another, and suddenly, a voice suddenly rang out. "Rebel son, why don't you hurry up and apologize to Mr. Xia?" "Dad. Qing Ziyue was forced to kneel on the ground by his father, and his gaze towards Xia Fan was filled with pleading. "What am I? If you can't get Mr. Xia's forgiveness today, I won't have you as my son." Qing Tianlong is well aware that the overall situation has been determined today. If he cannot resolve the conflict with this young man, their Qing family will never turn around. Speaking. Qing Ziyue began to kowtow wildly, one sound after another, and soon his forehead was already bleeding profusely. Xia Fan was no longer moved, his arms wrapped around his chest, and his face remained indifferent. "Mr. Xia, these people." At this moment, Chu Nantian looked at Xia Fan and sought his opinion. "Is it the Qing family? I don't want to see it anymore." Xia Fan looked at Qing Ziyue, who was kneeling on the ground like a dead dog, and shook his head slightly. "One sentence. Directly sentence the Qing family to death." No. Please hold your hand high and let go of my Qing family." Qing Ziyue shouted out loud, and Qing Tianlong beside him also looked desperate. "Their Qing family, it's over. Say it." Qing Ziyue and Qing Tianlong were thrown out by several soldiers, and several gunshots rang out from outside the door. This Wang Yan, as the leader of one party, is engaging in large-scale cliques and profiteering activities. If you're not here, the entire Kanglan Border Defense Army has almost become his last word. What should we do about it? Xia Fan's words were like a sickle for reaping people's lives, making Wang Yan sweat like rain. "Commander-in-Chief. No, actually, Wang Yan quickly explained, but faced him were countless soldiers holding long spears. "Mr. Xia is absolutely right, this situation should be dealt with by military law." With a gunshot and a mournful howl, everyone knew that Wang Yan, who had boundless glory, had died. Xia Fan was also somewhat shocked upon seeing this. "I didn't expect Chu Nantian in front of me to have such courage, to really kill Wang Yan who had been following him." At this moment, Xia Fan's words have already caused the downfall of the Qing family and Wang Yan. The remaining members of the Li family were full of fear and their bodies had already shaken into sieves. "The Li family." Xia Fan's voice stopped and then shifted his gaze to Li Zixin on the side. "You're right, we're not from the same world at all." After speaking, Li Zixin's beautiful eyes darkened, and she looked at Xia Fan's back with a hint of regret. If she didn't look down on Xia Fan and didn't make sarcastic remarks, then the Li family wouldn't be like that, right? Thinking about it, Li Zixin lowered her head in a daze, ready to face the final judgment. "Mr. Li has some friendship with me, but the Li family doesn't need to be like that." This statement made all the Li family feel as if they were granted amnesty and reborn. However, Li Zixin's engagement with me has been cancelled, and from now on, the Li family has no further involvement with me. Xia Fan's words changed and made everyone present smell something wrong. Now the Qing family has been destroyed, and a large amount of resources are waiting to be encroached upon. If the Li family had Xia Fan's protection, they could naturally replace the position of the Qing family and leap up. But now Xia Fan openly declares that he has cut off contact with the Li family. At this moment, there is pressure from the Chu family, and the Li family not only cannot swallow the property of the Qing family, but is more likely to be targeted by everyone to show their sincerity towards the Chu family. It can be said that even if the Li family doesn't die, they will have to peel off their skin. At this moment, Li Zixin could only helplessly give a bitter smile. Now that Li Delong has died, she has naturally become the spokesperson of the Li family. This is already the best result. At this moment, Li Zixin didn't know why, but she was actually regretting it in her heart. The intense regret was like a surging tide, enveloping her completely and making her unable to breathe. The boy she looked down upon before can now determine the life and death of the Li family with one word. Satire. Let's go. Xia Fan saw that the matter had been resolved and did not stop too long. He looked at Chu Nantian and spoke softly. Mr. Xia, please come here. Our Chu family has not yet thanked you for your life-saving kindness. Today, our Chu family will take over and clean up the dust for you. Chu Nantian smiled slightly and then waved his hand. The tanks and soldiers all retreated. Immediately, under the gaze of everyone, the two of them boarded the helicopter and disappeared in an instant. After today, everyone knows that Kanglan is going to change. Meanwhile, in a corner of the mountain, a black shadow suddenly appeared. I saw him take out a portrait from his arms, on which Xia Fan was painted. Offering a reward of billions. Who exactly is this kid? Chapter 9. Misunderstanding. I'm here to get married. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The center of Kanglan City. In a huge villa, a middle-aged man stood up with enthusiasm on his face. Are you Xia Xiaoyu? As he spoke, he extended his hand to Xia Fan. Hello, my name is Xia Fan. Xia Fan and Chu Nantian walked over side by side, reaching out their hands and smiling slightly. Thanks to Xia Xiaoyu, otherwise my daughter would have died long ago under the hands of those assassins. It is evident that Chu Jinshan loves his daughter very much. It's just a small gesture. Xia Fan smiled humbly. Xia Xiaoyu, don't be so humble. You are the life-saving benefactor of our Chu family. Please take your seat. Speaking, Chu Jinshan pointed to the seat beside him and quickly spoke up. Upon hearing these words, Xia Fan did not show any affectation and calmly sat down. Xia Xiaoyu, the kindness of saving lives is hard to repay. Although our Chu family is not a prestigious family, in the land of Kanglan, as long as you only know one thing, our Chu family can be helpful. Just as he sat down, Chu Jinshan took a sip of his tea and said with a smile. In the tone, there was a hint of pride. Dad, although Mr. Xia is young, he is actually a famous martial arts master. On the other hand, Chu Nantian also explained everything about the Li family in detail. After hearing that Xia Fan fought alone against dozens of Qing family warriors and killed Li Delong, Chu Jinshan's eyes slightly changed. Such a young martial arts master, it's strange that I have clumsy eyes. Martial master, there are also 2 or 3 of them from the Chu family. Although it's not uncommon, such a young martial master is unheard of. This young man looks ordinary, but there must be a master behind him. Making friends with them may not necessarily yield good results, but forming a good relationship is not a problem. The Chu family leader praised falsely, it's just a stroke of luck. Xia Fan slightly arched his hand, neither humble nor overbearing, causing Chu Jinshan and his son to give him another high glance. After taking a sip of tea, Xia Fan slowly took out an envelope from his backpack and handed it to Chu Jinshan's hand. Master Chu, I came to discuss something with you today. Little friend, it doesn't matter. Chu Jinshan chuckled. This is my engagement with Chu Qingxue, which was made between old Master Chu and my family back then. Upon hearing this news, the tea that Chu Nantian had just drank was so much that it hung and sprayed out. What are you saying? My sister is engaged to you. Chu Nantian was a bit shocked. As a beloved sister and a madman, he didn't know such a big thing. At this moment, Chu Jinshan glared at the restless Chu Nantian and reached out to open the envelope. The piece of engagement inside made him frown slightly. Above is indeed the handwriting of the old man. This engagement is not a problem. And in his early years, Chu Jinshan had heard his father mention this matter, and he even insisted on letting Xiaoxue complete her engagement no matter what. Listening to his father's extremely tough attitude, Chu Jinshan also nodded and agreed. I didn't expect this day to arrive so quickly. There's no problem with this engagement. If Xia Xiaoyu wants, I'll let Xiaoxue marry you tomorrow. Chu Jinshan did not deny this engagement, but waved his hand and insisted on fulfilling it. "Dad, is this too hasty? You haven't asked your sister yet." Chu Nantian was hastily decided upon when he saw his younger sister's life and wanted to persuade Chu Jinshan, but he was interrupted by Chu Jinshan's sharp voice. "Rolling calf, this is your grandfather's intention. Do you still want to refute it?" "But..." Chu Nantian hesitated a bit. "But what, but are you used to your authority outside? Don't you take your grandfather's words seriously? Even if you don't have your grandfather, there's still your father. If your father says it's okay, then it's okay." As he spoke, Chu Jinshan picked up Xia Fan's hand and said sincerely, "Xia Xiaoyu, although my daughter is a bit stubborn and willful, her character is not good. As long as you don't mind, I will let Xiao Shui get the certificate from you tomorrow." "Ah." As soon as these words were spoken, not only Chu Nantian, but even Xia Fan was confused. He thought he would refuse to accept it like the Li family did this time and then kick himself out. But Chu Jinshan's attitude is to wish he could marry his daughter off. "No, Master Chu, that's not what I meant." Xia Fan quickly waved his hand, wanting to explain. "I don't need to say much, we can skip the dowry. We can marry 2 houses and a car as a dowry. If that's not possible, my villa will be used as a wedding room for the 2 of you." Chu Jinshan is serious, as if he really wants Xia Fan to be his son. Law. Faced with this situation, Xia Fan coughed lightly and quickly explained, "I didn't mean that. I came here to cancel the engagement." "Cancel the engagement." As soon as these words were spoken, Chu Jinshan and Chu Nantian's father and son were stunned in the same place. "What are you talking about, stinky kid? You're actually getting married? Why, do you think my sister doesn't deserve you?" Upon hearing these words, Chu Nantian couldn't sit still anymore. His younger sister took care of her in every way possible, and even if she bumped, she would feel heartbroken for a long time. "I didn't expect this stinky kid to want to get married today. How can he tolerate being a crazy pet sister? Xia Xiaoyu, are you dissatisfied with my Chu family? Or are you dissatisfied with my Chu family's dowry? This kind of thing can still be discussed." Chu Jinshan calmed down first and asked softly. "No, I just..." "Dad, who's here? Why is it so lively?" Before Xia Fan could explain, a pleasant female voice could be heard from behind. Xia Fan turned around and saw only a pretty girl walking over. This girl has a hot figure, fair skin, and the surging waves make it hard to move her eyes. And she was tall and slender, with her slender and symmetrical legs covered in a thin layer of black silk. Upon closer inspection, her veins were swollen. The person who came was Chu Qingxue, the fiancé of Xia Fan. Light Snow Chu Nantian was the first to react, and then he quickly pulled Chu Qingxue aside. "Hurry up, don't turn back." "Brother, what do you mean by this?" Chu Qingxue saw her brother's eager expression, with a hint of doubt in her beautiful eyes. "Xiao Xue, come over quickly. This is your life-saving benefactor." At this moment, the voice of Chu Jinshan came out. Upon hearing these words, Chu Nantian's expression froze and he looked towards the ceiling with some despair. "It's over. The life-saving benefactor." Upon hearing this, Chu Qingxue took her own steps and slowly walked towards Xia Fan. Looking at the familiar face in front of her, Chu Qingxue's pretty face unexpectedly showed a layer of blush. She remembers being at the airport, the handsome young man in front of her protecting himself. That tall and straight figure is constantly hovering in her mind, lingering in her mind. Now seeing this boy again, she suddenly realized that he was so handsome. At this moment, the heart that was extremely cold and frozen all year round began to melt. "Sister." Chu Nantian felt something was amiss when he saw his sister standing there. "Will my foolish little sister, get out of here, kid. Don't meddle in here." Where can't Chu Jinshan see his daughter's intentions? Immediately, he quickly pulled Chu Nantian aside and coughed lightly, pretending to be serious, saying, Xiaoxue, aren't you currently dealing with the affairs of Shanghai community? Your brother and I have other matters to discuss, so let Xia Xiaoyu accompany you to take a look. Chapter 10. Strange Diseases. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chu Jinshan was well aware of the current situation and quickly left with the reluctant Chu Nantian. At this moment, Xia Fan and Chu Qingxue stood together, feeling awkward and silent. Soon. Chu Qingxue broke the silence first and smiled at Xia Fenying, my benefactor, do you want to accompany me to Shanghai community to take a look? Shanghai community. Xia Fan frowned, slightly puzzled. Shanghai community is a project that my Chu family recently took over for development, with the aim of creating a wealthy community. My dad wanted to experience it for me, so he handed this project over to me. As she spoke, Chu Qingxue seemed to have thought of something and pouted unhappily, but recently, accidents have occurred frequently in the development process of Shanghai community. Many workers have had accidents without reason during construction, causing panic and forcing the project to be suspended. When it comes to Shanghai community, Chu Qingxue's beautiful little face shows a hint of melancholy. However, since my benefactor is so talented, can you give me a face and accompany me to visit Shanghai community? At this moment, Chu Qingxue swept away her previous worries and looked at Xia Fan with a smile on her face. Sure. Xia Fan didn't refuse either and nodded slightly. He has a good impression of the Chu family, especially the young lady of the Chu family, who is approachable and has no signs of being unruly or capricious. If you can help yourself, it's not impossible to go and see. Thank you, my benefactor, for showing your respect. Chu Qingxue saw Xia Fan's agreement and quickly ordered someone to arrange vehicles. The two of them boarded the Chu family luxury car and drove towards the Shanghai community. As soon as she entered the Shanghai community, Xia Fan felt something and her gaze fell outside the car window. Benefactor, what's wrong? Chu Qingxue felt something unusual about Xia Fan and asked softly with some concern. Get off the car. Xia Fan opened the car door and carefully observed the layout of the Shanghai community. Someone is trying to harm your Chu family. Xia Fan let out a cold snort, his tone becoming somewhat cold. Benefactor, how do you say this? Chu Qingxue is now confused. How could she get off the car when the benefactor in front of her said someone was harming her? The reason why accidents occur frequently in your community is that someone deliberately changed the feng shui and turned this place into a place of destruction. As Xia Fan spoke, he pointed to two buildings not far away and said, look, these two buildings are very close together, forming a narrow gap between them. It's like someone cutting it open with a sword. In terms of feng shui, this is called Tianjian Sha. Your community is facing this evil entrance, so it is easy to cause evil energy to enter the body, causing a disaster of blood and light. After speaking, Xia Fan pointed to the nearby residential buildings and said, the doors of all your residential buildings protrude outward, resembling an open tiger. This layout usually only appears in government buildings, prisons, hospitals, etc. But this layout is called Hukusha. The government and prisons have national laws, hospitals save lives and heal injuries, and it is a place of righteousness. Hukusha naturally does not work, but when used in residential buildings, it is a big threat. And Xia Fan took a few steps forward and stopped at the foot of a villa. He slowly squatted down and reached out to grab a handful of soil. Here, yin and yang repel each other, and evil energy gathers. It's a place of death. People living here will experience sudden symptoms and die suddenly. As soon as these words were spoken, Chu Qingxue was immediately shocked and unable to speak. She didn't expect that the young man in front of her still knew feng shui. She couldn't understand the previous day's slaying and tiger mouth attacks, but she believed the last sentence. Because it is Zhao Feng, the father of the head of Kanglan City, who lives in this villa. And just a few days ago, he suddenly fell ill and became unconscious. At that time, the head of Zhao City, Zhao Duo, invited countless experts and famous doctors to come for consultation, but they couldn't see anything. Zhao, the head of the city, had no choice but to summon renowned doctors from all over the world and deliver a message. Whoever can cure his father should be greatly thanked. The promise made by Zhao Shishou has attracted countless people, but many days have passed, and everyone who goes to the Zhao family shakes their heads and sighs, feeling helpless. Evil. Too evil. No one knows what strange illness Zhao Shishou's father has. But right now, Xia Fan, who had just appeared in Kanglan, saw the problem at a glance. Benefactor, since you can see it, can you save Grandpa Zhao? Chu Qingxue quickly grabbed Xia Fan's arm and gently shook it. You can take me to take a look first, I'm not sure about the specifics. Xia Fan didn't say enough, just nodded and said. Follow me. Chu Qingxue saw Xia Fan agree and happily pulled her towards the villa. Zhao's villa, in the lobby. Among them, several respected doctors were sitting upright in chairs, with a worried expression and furrowed brows. Soon. In the bedroom, an elderly man with gray hair and a hunched figure slowly walked out. Dr. Yi, how is my father's illness? Seeing the visitor, Zhao Duo, the head of Zhao City, quickly spoke up to inquire. Upon hearing this, the doctor surnamed Yi let out a long sigh and shook his head, saying, Mr. Zhao's illness is so strange. I have been practicing medicine for decades and have never encountered such a strange illness. Zhao Shishou, it's not my exaggeration. Let's prepare for the aftermath soon. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone was shocked. You should know that Dr. Yi is the top doctor in Kanglan and enjoys a good reputation throughout the medical field. And even such a big shot cannot solve it. It seems that Mr. Zhao is undoubtedly incurable. Upon hearing these words, Zhao Duo's straight back curved slightly. I didn't expect my father to suffer from an incurable disease. Thinking about it, Zhao Duo shook his head with a somewhat desolate expression. Just as he was about to wave his hand to let these doctors leave, Xia Fan and Chu Qingxue walked in. Let me give it a try, I am confident in curing Mr. Zhao's illness. At this moment, this voice caught the attention of everyone present, and their eyes turned towards Xia Fan. Where did this furry kid come from? How dare he boast that he can cure Mr. Zhao's strange illness? At this moment, a respected old doctor stood up and pointed at Xia Fan's nose, loudly rebuking him. What kind of thing are you? We old folks can't do anything about it, just relying on you, a kid who hasn't grown enough hair. Another Dr. Kanglan also stood up in agreement, his words filled with disdain. Who let this scammer in? Hurry up and blow him out. The other prestigious doctors stood up one after another, red-necked, urging the security guards to blow Xia Fan out. You old men can't treat illnesses well, but you have sharp tongues. If your medical skills had the advantage of your tongue, my grandfather Zhao could still endure such pain. I'm sorry. At this moment, Chu Qingxue couldn't bear to watch anymore, and she choked her waist and sprayed wildly at the doctors. Where did that crazy girl come from? She's so arrogant. Dr. Kanglan, who was the leader, blushed with anger and immediately looked at Zhao Duo beside him, saying in a deep voice. Zhao City Chief, although we haven't made any contribution to Mr. Zhao's illness, we are at least a renowned doctor. Now, in the Zhao family, we are being pointed at and scolded by stinky boys and crazy girls from unknown places. Isn't this a bit excessive?